recording this so your classmates can see that aren't able to join us. So multiple choice. Here are the rules for AP. This is true for AP World and APUSH next year, and again, AP Euro. So you're seeing the same test structure multiple years if you choose to and continue with these courses. It is all what we call stimulus-based. There's going to be 2 to 5 questions per stimulus. That could be a written passage, a primary source from someone who lived during a time that, or an event that we discuss. It could be what's called a secondary source, which is a modern historian writing about events of the past. It could be a chart, it could be a graph, it could be a photograph, it could be a map, and you're going to answer questions on that source. So it's part of this is literally just reading and looking at things and interpreting them. You've been doing that as long as you've been to school. So even if you don't study, even if you skipped a chapter, about 40 to 50% of the multiple choice questions you should be able to do anyway just by looking at something and interpreting it. Now, some of them are hard, but that's what it is. And so that part should be fairly simple, and you should have a lot of practice doing that, and we will certainly give you practice. That's why it's also important when you read your textbook. You have a lot of visuals in your textbook. They have short descriptions with them. I know the temptation sometimes is to skip that part. You need to make sure that you are good at interpreting visual sources. So if you feel like that's something you're good at, if you don't have an opinion about it of your own ability yet, make sure you're reading those short samples, those descriptions of a map, of a photograph, of a drawing, of whatever it may be in your textbook. That's good practice for this, because this could happen in short answer, it could happen in multiple choice, and it could happen in what we call the document-based question, which we will get to probably October, November-ish. That's the hardest thing we do, and that's the thing I'm going to save for last, because we want to build up the skills we need to get to that point. Because if I gave you one today, you'd all cry. It's hard. It's the hardest thing we do. You may have heard of a document-based question, but we'll get there. Again, we're going to build up to where we get comfortable with skills until we're in a position where we feel like we can handle the tough stuff. Short answer, I think, is the easiest. Multiple choice, I think, is the next easiest. Now, all of you have done multiple choice. You probably already have an opinion of your own ability in multiple choice. Some of you are good test takers. You're that person who didn't study a whole lot, who didn't do your homework. You're smart, you come to class, you pay attention, and you're just a good test taker. The rest of you hate those people. You get frustrated by them because they didn't work nearly half as hard as you did, and they still get better multiple choice test scores. The multiple choice is 40% of your score on the AP test. Some of you, that's going to be awesome because you're going to do really well. Some of you, you know, probably not your best point. For those of you that are in that camp, 60% is writing. And I'll be honest with you, after the first test or two, I'm going to know pretty much what your multiple choice ability is. It kind of is what it is. It's not likely to make a massive improvement. You're probably not going to get 10 more multiple choice questions right from one test to the other. It's either a skill you have or a skill you struggle with. Versus essay writing and short answer writing, everybody in this room, I will make you a promise right now, you will be a better writer in May than you are today. That I can guarantee. I know you will be, because we can improve those skills, and we will. And we're going to teach formulas and structures of how to write. This is not creative writing. This is not you writing your heart and your soul. That's great. This is more like a lab report in chemistry, where you got to do, here's what I did, here's what I did, here's what I did, boom, boom, boom. You follow a pattern, you get the points. So multiple choice, at the end of the year, we're going to do 55 questions in 55 minutes. So it's literally one per question, realizing again, 1 minute per question, that you're going to have to read a topic, think about it, and then you have 2 to 5 questions per source or stimulus, as the College Board calls it. Obviously, I don't have 55 minutes in school when we are together. I can only give you 50. So you're going to have to practice all year long in less time, which means that when we get to the end of the year, you will have more time on the AP test than you've ever had in my class, which means you should have no problem finishing. The key to multiple choice is answering the questions that are easiest for you first. I want you to write this down in some way, shape, or form, however you choose to. That does not mean go 1 through 55. Now, our first multiple choice is 15 questions. Okay, today you have 8 practice ones. The one I'm going to give you on Friday has 15 questions. You want to go through and do the easiest questions for you first. Because what if you don't finish? In my estimate, the first time we take a 50-minute test in class in person, half of you will finish, half of you won't. What if the easiest questions for you are the last 7 questions? And you don't get to them because you go 1 through 55. Again, you're talking to a person who is strict on time. You're talking to a person who color coordinates in Roy G. Biv, my closet. You're talking to a person when we are in the class together, there will be markers up here on this board, and they will be in Roy G. Biv order. Anytime I return work to you, it is in alphabetical order by last name. I am really organized. But I know that the best way to take a standardized test is not to go straight through. Some of you may take an ACT prep course in 2 years and pay $200 to learn how to take the ACT better. I'm telling you the most important thing they're going to tell you now. Skip around. Don't go straight through. I'm saving you $200. You're welcome. Okay? That's a sucker's game. Well, Mr. Rich, how do I pick which ones are best for me? Well, it depends on the source. Are you better at the visuals or the reading passages? You already know that probably. Are you better at this content or that content? You will go into a test knowing that maybe one chapter you skipped, or you were sick for a week and you missed the entire week of me teaching that concept in class. And you know you got the notes from your friend, but it's not the same. And you couldn't come after school to get help, and so you just never really got that content. And you know that's a weak spot, and you see that the first question is a passage on that content, and your first thought is, oh crap, what am I going to do? The answer is skip that passage and come back to it if you have time. So you should go through and do the easiest ones for you first. This is for any test. You're trying to go to law school in 7 years. This is what you do on the LSAT, the test to get into law school. Like every standardized test, this is the system, this is the game you play. Because no one expects you to get all the questions right. This is not your 3rd grade spelling test where you have 20 words and you got them on Monday and you had to spell them on Friday. And if you got 20 out of 20, you got 100 and the teacher gave you a scratch and sniff sticker on your paper. Ooh, that's not how this works. In AP, you start at 0 and you go up. You earn points. You don't lose them when you get stuff wrong. If you get 60% of these multiple choice right, that's doing really well. Mr. Rich, 60% in most classes is a D-. I know this isn't most classes. You are playing a different game. And the game, kiddos, is not perfection. 2 years ago, the last time we had a full test, 185,000 people took AP World. 185,000 people. One kid got a perfect score. One. And that's usually, most years are 0. It was so rare they published it. They're like, this one kid, they didn't say their name, but one kid got a perfect score. And we were all like, what? The last time I took a multiple choice test that I wrote, I missed 2 questions. And I wrote it. You're not going to get a perfect score. So you don't worry about it. Because some of you right now, when I said skip around, and your first thought is, well, what if I don't finish? So what? Outside of pride, which doesn't get you anything, it doesn't mean anything to finish the test. You want to do the best you can. That means if you take your time and you finish 47 questions well, that's better than rushing through 55. That's how the game is played. They're counting on you being immature. They're counting on you being impatient. They're counting on you being in a rush. If you don't do those things, you'll be in a better position to be successful. Okay, be quick, but don't hurry. Now, some of you can do your best and take your time and get through 55. Some of you, it's going to take you by the end of the year to get up to that level. Some of you will never get there this year, and that's okay. One multiple choice question has very little impact on your AP test score. I will show you the math in the spring of what that looks like. But trust me, 1 or 2 multiple choice has not a whole lot of impact. I'd rather you take your time and feel comfortable at what you do. And the ones you don't get to are the hardest ones anyway. So you're probably going to get them wrong regardless, more than likely. So that's hard for some of us. I know it is. And most of you will not listen to me. How do I know that? When I grade Scantrons, when we come back together, the kids that don't finish, it's always like 48 through 55. And I always give it back to them and say, what if the easiest questions for you were 51 through 55? What if they were? Listen to me. Follow my instructions. I've been doing this longer than you've been alive. Hey, I'm old. I know what I'm talking about. You know I know what I'm talking about because every one of you, for the most part, if you came to Ballard last year, you had heard of me before you got in my class. And I have a reputation that I have earned, and sometimes it's not good, because I can be impatient. I can be frustrated. I can get after people pretty hard, absolutely. But I know what I'm doing, and you know that's true. So I'd encourage you to follow my instructions, and you'll see benefit. I know for some of you it's going to be hard, Mr. Rich. I'm just super organized, and the only concern you have by going out of order is to make sure you put the right answer in the right spot, that 48 goes in 48 and not in 49. That's the only concern you have. You just have to pay attention and do that correctly. But beyond that, this is the best way to do it. This is how to play the game. This year, next year, senior year, college, graduate school, this is the way to play the game. Okay? That's my advice. Take it or leave it, but that's my advice. All right. The other thing to think about, you're not getting one right answer sometimes. There might be multiple answers that seem pretty good. You're giving the best answer. So if you feel like multiple answers seem like they could be right, you're going to pick the one that traditionally is more specific, the one that gives more detail, the one that is not as broad as the other one. So if there are two answers and one is generic and one is more detailed, it's probably the more detailed one that's going to be the better answer. Right? Sure. If I'm writing a recommendation letter for you, which I've already had several seniors ask me for this year as they're trying to get on the college game, I can say like, so-and-so is a person. They were in my class. They did the work I asked them to do. That's a terrible recommendation. That says nothing about who they are as a person, what unique contributions they could make, or blah, 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 blah. You want to say things like, so-and-so, when we did a fishbowl, which you don't know what those are yet, but when we did a fishbowl, they volunteered as moderator and did an excellent job processing the concerns and comments of their classmates. And blah. The more specific I can be, the better I can be. So generally, the more specific answers are better. What you want to do is go through and mark out the answers that you think are wrong right away. And usually out of 4 answers, there's always 4, A, B, C, D. Usually 1 or 2 is going to be kind of the not something that's good. Okay? What you don't want to do, and trust me, Mr. Rich does this to you to teach you a lesson because some of you are hard-headed like I am and have to learn the tough way. I will put sometimes answers that are decently good at A, hoping you'll pick A, quit, and not read B, C, and D, and the best answer is at C or D. But you're lazy, you're in a hurry, and so you don't read C or D because like A seems fine. Next. I'm doing that on purpose. Listen to me. Don't fall into that trap. Because I said it because I know the kind of kids I'm working with. You're very smart. You're very talented. Sometimes you get nervous. Sometimes it's out of excess confidence and whatever motivation it is. Sometimes you don't pay close attention. And so that is a problem we've got to fix. Okay? If you are patient and thorough, you may not finish the test, but you'll score better. And that's the point. That's our purpose. We want to score better. You know, heck, you'll take a 3 in the AP test, but if you can get a 4, you'll take that more so. So we want to do the best we can. All I ask from you is one thing. When you finish that test in May, I ask that you feel like you did the best you could. You practiced, you prepared, you asked questions, you studied, and we'll talk about all that stuff when the time comes. But I want you to feel like you did the best you could. And if the best you could is a 3, then so be it. It's the best you could do. You're a 15, 16-year-old kid taking a college level test. That's still awesome. Okay? All you can give me is the best you can. You can't do more than you can do. So I will never be upset with you or mad at you if you try your best and it's not good enough, because sometimes that's life. If Mr. Rich decided to DM a bunch of supermodels on Twitter, okay? I mean, y'all got eyes, let's be honest. Okay, plus I'm a high school teacher. There ain't a whole lot of this, and there ain't a whole lot of this. So it's okay to shoot your shot, but at some point, you got to do the best you can do. All right, and that's true in a lot of ways in life. Doesn't mean you can't go extra and try your best and all that good stuff, but at some point you have limitations. I would be happy with all of you in May if you do the best you can do and you feel that's how you did. If that's the case, I'm happy, no matter what the results are. And I believe that. I mean that. So I do not see you as a test score. I promise you, if I see you next year at school, I will not know your test score when I see you in the hallway. Some kids think Mr. Rich will remember because he remembers all these historical facts. Yeah, but I don't remember your test score. I don't think about people in terms of test scores. I never have and I never will. I can't tell you you got a 5 last year. I don't remember because it's not important to me. What's important to me is that you do the best you can do and that you grow and you improve your skills and your abilities. That's why I'm here. Scores are great, but it's not the main reason. Okay, that's just me being honest about it. And you may not believe me. You may think I'm telling you a tale, and that's fine, but I hope to prove to you over the next 7 months that that's what I believe. It's about all of us doing better and improving, whatever that means to you. Okay, and that's different for every one of us. We're not all the same. Some of us have more natural ability. Some of us took AP last year. Some of us didn't. Some of us are better test takers. Some of us get test anxiety, and we see the word test and we freak out a little bit. And that's going to make it harder on you, obviously. So those are all things that happen to us and all things that we have to deal with. And so everybody's different, and I want you to do the best you can do. Okay, the last thing I will say, and then I'm going to give you a few minutes to practice some samples, is that try to avoid absolute answers. If you see an answer that says never, probably it happened at one point. Never is a bad answer. Always, more than likely, somebody didn't do whatever it is they're talking about. So absolute answers tend to be wrong. 99% of the time, absolute answers are wrong. See what I did there? 99% of the time, absolute answers are wrong. So if you see an absolute answer, that's generally indicative that it's not going to be the right answer. Okay? So you know how to do multiple choice. These are a little different. They're a little more lengthy. They're thorough. And I will tell you this, my tests tend to be harder than the AP test. If you think of it like sports, my job as a coach is to run you through a tough practice so in the game you're in shape. So you're not sucking wind in the fourth quarter or the second half of your particular athletic endeavor. Or if you're a runner, the last half mile, you're not going, you practice so that doesn't happen. My job at school is the same. I'm going to hit you hard. I'm going to beat you up on occasion and give you stuff that's difficult. But you will be ready in the spring to do this. And I hope all of you walk out of the gym in May and said, boy, that was easy. Rich's tests were harder than that. Good. I hope that's true. Because if that's true, I did my job. That means there'll be days this year you don't like it a whole lot. And you go, oh my gosh, that multiple choice was the hardest test I've ever taken in my life. Yeah, it may be. But you know what will happen the next time? You're better prepared. And then the time after that, even better. And the time after that, even better. And in May, you have no fear because you've done worse. And you can ask students that have had me before, if you can make me happy, the College Board will be very happy because my standards are higher than the College Board's. I promise you that. It's true. If I go good job, you did a good job. I'm not just saying that because I'm trying to make you feel better. I mean it. Okay? So if you get a thumbs up from me, it's well deserved because I don't give everybody a thumbs up just because you walk in the door and you have 2 arms and 2 legs and you breathe oxygen. That's not how it works. Okay, if you get a compliment, you earned it because I don't give a whole lot. So I'm going to put you in small groups. You have on the classroom stream, I posted it yesterday, 8 sample period 0 multiple choice questions. So I'm going to ask you to do those together. This is not a turn off my camera and put on my mute button and do it by myself. No, this is a leave everything on. For those of you without camera capability, that's fine. But talk to each other, process it. Because I'm going to ask you, A, the right answer, B, why'd you pick that one? And so I'm going to go by group order. So also please note which group you are in because I want to hear from each group. Everybody understand me? And I'll give you about 10 minutes and we'll come back together and talk. All right. So I'm going to put you in 8 groups. So there'll be 2 or 3 of you in a group. All right. And then each group will be responsible for 1 question. So if you're number 4, I'm going to ask you about question number 4 from your group. Got it? All right. Let me pause recording here because nobody wants to watch a screen of us